Hi everyone. Now we are going to discuss about a topic called mycorrhizae, which is one of the types of microbes and plant interactions. These mycorrhizal fungal filaments in the soil are truly extensions of these root systems and are more effective in nutrient and water absorption than the root themselves. More than 95% of terrestrial plant species form a symbiotic relationship over the past several hundred million years. These fungi, that is mycorrhizal fungi, predate the evolution of terrestrial plants, and it was the partnership with mycorrhizal fungi that allowed these plants to begin to colonize in dry land and create life on earth as we know it. So coming to what is a mycorrhiza? So mycorrhiza literally means fungus root, and it is going to describe the mutual beneficial relationship between the plant and the root fungus. And these mycorrhiza are going to be the specialized fungi colonize the plant roots in a symbiotic manner and extended far into the soil. That means how these plant and fungi is going to have the symbiotic association means the plants are going to have the ability to produce carbohydrates through the photosynthesis. And these carbohydrates are going to be shared, not all, some of these sugars with the fungus, and in return for otherwise unavailable water and nutrients that are present are going to be supplied to the plant by these fungi. So these whatever the fungi are going to form an extensive network of mycelial hyphae produced by these fungi and making it to be of holding the water and supplying it to the plant. So it's a two-way relationship of sharing resources between these two groups, that is plant and the fungi, and there will be a symbiotic mutualism. That means a classical symbiotic mutualism. The mycorrhiza is going to be rely on the plant, and the plant's performance and survival are going to be enhanced by this fungi. So that's how they are going to be of classical symbiotic association. This mycorrhiza is a word that was derived from the Greek language, and the mycos means mushroom or the fungi means a root. And this was discovered by the German botanist Frank in the last century 1855 in the forest trees such as pine. So naturally, approximately 90% of the plants that are present on the earth, that is terrestrial plants, are going to be infected with mycorrhiza. Out of all the dicots, 83% was infected with mycorrhiza, and considered coming to the monocots, 79% were infected. Were coming to the gymnosperms, 100% of them are having the association with the mycorrhiza. And these mycorrhiza, the main function of this mycorrhiza is of converting the insoluble form of phosphorus in the soil into soluble form, where it is going to enhance the absorption of the phosphorus by the plant. So this is the main function of this mycorrhiza. There are other functions also we will discuss, but the first and foremost function of the mycorrhiza is conversion of the insoluble form of phosphorus into soluble form. Then coming to the types of mycorrhizal association. So we are going to have the 7 types of mycorrhizal association based on infection, then anatomy, and the character structures produced by the fungal symbiotes. And the different types of mycorrhizal associations are: number 1, Endomycorrhiza or worm fungi, that is vascular or vascular mycorrhiza. The second one is ectomycorrhiza. Then third one is actinodomycorrhiza. Fourth, orbitoid mycorrhiza. Fifth, monotripoid mycorrhiza. Sixth, ericoid mycorrhiza. 7, orchidaceous mycorrhiza. So out of all these, ecto and the endomycorrhiza, that is worm fungi, are going to be of very important from forestry and agriculture point of view. So we are going to have the more discussion on these two types rather than the other types. Let's begin. The first one, endomycorrhiza. The worm fungi or the Endomycorrhiza are going to be of a symbiotic endotrophic relationship with the roots of higher plants, and they are going to include in the family Endogonaceae of Zygomycetes. And as I told you, this worm fungi means vascular orbuscular mycorrhiza. That means worm fungi, the expansion of the worm fungi is vascular orbuscule mycorrhiza. Why we are going to call this as a vascular orbuscular mycorrhiza means the worm fungi is going to possess the swollen vesicles. So here you can see, so these are going to be the vesicles, and which are going to be present inside as well as the outside, and the branched orbuscules. So here you can see the orbuscules, so the branched orbuscules within the cortical cells, and hence these are going to be considered or called as vascular orbuscular mycorrhiza. So if you observe these orbuscules, they are going to be similar to the haustoria, which is helping the things to be holding the substrate and supplying or extracting the nutrients from it. In the same manner, these are also involved in the supply of the phosphorus to the plant. So that's how these are going to be of having the major role. Then coming to these vesicles. So these vesicles are going to act as a storage structures of phosphorus in the form of phospholipids. So these worm fungi that is going to be present in the soil have to have compulsorily the presence of root. That means if there is no root in the soil, we cannot find this worm fungi. That is vascular orbuscular mycorrhiza or endomycorrhiza. And one more important thing is it is not going to be the host specific. That means this worm fungi is not going to be present only in the presence of certain species of plants. It is going to be present in presence of all the types of the plant. So that is another important thing, because ectomycorrhiza is going to be the host specific, whereas the worm fungi is not going to be a host specific. So these two importance are we have to remember. And one more important point regarding the character of this one, the worm fungi is going to be the obligate biotrophic. That means it is going to be present only in the presence of the root of a plant. Otherwise, it is not going to survive. So, compulsorily there should be the root presence for its existence. Otherwise, these worm fungi are going to be produced in the form of the spores, and they will present in the soil. That is in the resting spore condition. Okay, and the worm fungi are going to be formed by certain fungal species which are going to be of non-septate belonging to the genera like glomus, then acylospora, then sclerocystis, entophospora, and scuteolospora of the family Endogoniaceae. So this is what about the Endomycorrhiza. Then moving to the Ectomycorrhiza. The ectomycorrhiza is also going to be called as ectotrophic mycorrhiza, and these fungi are completely encloses each feeder rootlet in a sheath or a mantle hyphae. So here you can see this is called as a mantle sheath. And coming to the characters of this fungi, that is ectomycorrhiza, the fungal colonization or sheath of the shorter feet is going to be called as mantle. So here you can see this is going to be the overall covering of the root called as a mantle or fungal sheath. And this is going to be present intercellular fungus penetrating through the cortical cells and forming a network-like structure called as Hartig net. Okay, so what is meant by Hartig net means the fungal hyphae between the cortical cells is going to be called as Hartig net. Whereas in the Endomycorrhiza, we had seen that they are going to be present intercellular. That means inside, intracellular, intra, intracellular. They are going to present inside the cells. Whereas in the ectomycorrhiza, they are not going to be present inside the cell. They are going to be present in between the cells. That's why we call it as intercellular fungus. Then ectomycorrhizal association is going to be found in plants of both gymnosperms, that is non-flowering plants, as well as angiosperms. The fungal partner in these associations belong to the Basidiomystes, representing the genera called Amanita, then Boletus, then Canthalis, Entoloma, Lactarius, Paxillus, Rossella, Rhizopogon, and Sclerogerma. So these fungi are going to be exhibiting a wide host spectrum. Whereas the Endomycorrhiza is not a host specific, it is going to be exist at all species of the plants. But here, this Ectomycorrhiza is going to be of host specific. Okay, so that is what you have to remember. So this is a scanning electron microscopic figure where you can see that this fungal is going to form a mantle-like sheath in between the cortical cells, which we call it as Hartig net. So this ectomycorrhiza is going to be of helping the plant by improving the zinc and phosphorus nutrition, stimulating the nitrogen fixation. It is not going to be involved in the fixation of nitrogen, but it is a provoking or stimulating the nitrogen fixation process. Then it is decreasing the disease tolerance, it is increasing the disease tolerance in plants. That means not allowing the pathogens to grow in their presence. So obviously it is going to decrease the disease to the plants and increasing the disease tolerance. Then coming to the immobilizing some heavy metals and improving the water use, and that's how it is making the plants to have the drought tolerance. And not only that, it is also improving the soil structure. So these are the few benefits of these ectomycorrhiza having near the plant growth. Then moving to the other types of the mycorrhiza. So here I have given the list of the other types of the mycorrhiza. So these are all going to be of mainly studied or named depending upon the host they are going to be present in association with the plants. For example, Ectotrophic mycorrhiza is going to be seen in the woody plants and also found in both gymnosperms and angiosperms. And primarily it was restricted to Pinus, Pisceae and Larix, and this is going to be present as intracellular infection occurs in the cortical cells. That means it will enter into the cell. Then coming to the ericoid mycorrhiza, the fungal members of this ericoid mycorrhiza are mainly Basidiomycetes and Ascomycotina, and these are going to be found in roots of plants belonging to the order Ericales or the family Ericaceae. And the rootlets are going to be covered by a loose woven mesh of a dark brown septate hyphae from which branches penetrate the cortical cells. Then orchidoid mycorrhiza. So fungi belongs to the Basidiomycota and colonize only the members of Orchidaceae. So that may be the reason why we named, not we, it was named as a orchidoid mycorrhiza. And the association of this orchidoid mycorrhiza is going to be probably pseudomycorrhizal, but it is going to play an important role in the establishment of orchid seeds or orchid seedlings. Then coming to the next type, that is monotropoid mycorrhiza, the fungi belong to the Basidiomycotina is going to colonize the achlorophyllous members of angiosperms belonging to the family Monotropiaceae. And here this is going to form a fungal sheath that is going to be of Hartig network is going to be formed in the cells of outer cortex. The best example is Boletus. Then orchidioid mycorrhiza, mostly seen in the woody plants, shrubs and the trees, and these are restricted to Ericales genera like Arborus, Pyrrholoc and Architostaphylos. So this is a few note of the other types of the mycorrhiza, but basically we have discussed about the ecto and the vam fungi because of their importance in view of forestry and agriculture point. Then coming to the differences between the endomycorrhiza and ectomycorrhiza. So here, while I'm explaining only, I said of about few points between these two. Endomycorrhiza, we know that it is going to be of present in all the types of plants irrespective of host. So obviously it is going to be seen in 85% of the plant families. Whereas ectomycorrhiza is going to be seen in host specific. So obviously 10% of the plant families are going to have this one. And the endomycorrhiza is going to be of commercially produced plants. That means we can have this one in the commercially produced plants, including green, leafy, and fruiting or flowering plants. But whereas the ectomycorrhiza is going to be mainly paired with the coniferous and many American hardwoods. And endomycorrhiza is going to penetrate into the root cortex and form a nutrient exchange structures with the root cells such as arbuscules, and the vesicles are going to be seen. So these are the vesicles and these are the arbuscules that we are going to see. And here we are going to see the intracellular type of the penetration of this mycorrhiza. Coming to the ectomycorrhiza, they are going to be present outside as a sheath. We call it as a mantle. And some of the hyphae are going to be introduced between the cells, which we are going to call it as a heartic net. So this is going to be the intercellular hyphae, which we call it as a heartic net. Okay, so this is going to endomycorrhiza is going to be of not host specific, whereas ectomycorrhiza is going to be of host specific in nature. So like this, we are going to have the certain differences between the endomycorrhiza and ectomycorrhiza. Then moving to the significance of mycorrhiza. So as I already told you while explaining of the ectomycorrhiza, these ectomycorrhiza or endomycorrhizal fungi are going to absorb the nutrients from the soil and they're transferring them to the host. So what is the host here? Nothing but the plants. Then mycorrhizal fungi is also going to improve the phosphorus nutrition of a host by converting the insoluble form of the phosphate into the soluble form, by which the plants can easily absorb the phosphorus form. Apart from phosphorus, this mycorrhizal association is also stimulating the plant to uptake the other nutrients such as zinc, copper, sulfur, and calcium, although this was not markedly as equal to the phosphorus uptake. Then mycorrhiza is also playing an important role in the economy and augmentation of absorption of water, such that this plants, the host plants, are going to withstand the drought condition. That means they are going to form a mantle-like sheath which is protecting them from the whatever the diseases or the holding of the water capacity. So obviously they can withstand the drought conditions. And coming to the another important point, some ectomycorrhizal fungi are also having the capacity to produce the growth hormones which will enhance the plant growth. And then coming to the mycorrhizal associations induces strengthening of the cell walls. I told you that was going to be of enhanced production of polysaccharides and increased lignification. In addition to all these nutrient benefits, they also develops that means mycorrhizal association also develops a drought resistance, tolerance to pH change or pH, then resistant to pathogens due to the phytoalexins that are going to be released by the fungus and temperature extremes. So this is all a few significances of the mycorrhizal association with the plants. So if you see this picture, the plant growth in presence of the mycorrhizal association and the plant growth without the association of the mycorrhizal with the plant. So this is how you can see. And this was a laboratory prune where the seedlings were cultivated with the mycorrhizal association and without the mycorrhizal association. We can see the difference in a not in a minute manner, we can see it in a large quantity in their growth. That means the plants are going to be of very good growth, both in the shoot system growth, productivity, all the things in the root system growth also in the presence of mycorrhizal association than without the mycorrhizal association. So this is all about the mycorrhiza, which is one of the types of microbes and plant interactions. Thank you.